Hey, my loves, it's your girl, Nicole Melissa, your resident matchmaker and relationship consultant, and I'm here to help you do your work. So I have a subject matter that I want to talk to y'all about. However, I do realize that it might be boring for some people, but our Father has been speaking to me about this for some time. It's been something that's just, it keeps coming up over and over again. And so I feel like now's a good time to talk about it. Okay. So it is a little boring for some, but if you are someone who is awakening in any sort of way, who is discerning in any sort of way, sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so ignore me if I'm, my nose is stuffy. So what you need right now is the ability to think. You know, at the beginning of the year, I was telling you about faith and how important that is going to be right now. You need your faith. But along with faith, you also need to know how to think, okay? To think about whatever it is you're thinking about. So I'm going to give you some practical ways to think, like how to practice actually thinking about something, okay? So like first, let's just, what is thinking, right? So thinking is creative, is a string of creative thoughts. It is the ability to problem solve, the ability to reflect, self-reflect, including, and assess things and analyze things. That's what thinking does for you, okay? So it's really important that we think. How do we think? So step one, know this. Okay, I'm going to share it to you. I'm going to share it this way in reverse because maybe it's going to be easier this way. I always try to do things like really layman's terms. You'll know that you're thinking. There are two thoughts. You need to have two juxtaposing thoughts, okay, in order to really be thinking about something. If you have one thought and one thought only, then you're not really thinking. You've just made a decision off of, I'm not sure what, because you didn't really think that through at all, right? So you need to juxtapose, you need contrasting thoughts to create thinking, right? So step one, you'll know that you're thinking about something when two thoughts on the same subject matter are occurring at the same time. You have to weigh them against each other. Okay. So 1, 2, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions. Okay. Who, what, where, when, and why. But most importantly, why? Always know why. Why are you thinking that way? Why do you think that? Are there any exceptions to that rule? Who said so? Because oftentimes when you really dig down and you start to think about why you think that, or why, whatever the case is, you will learn that, oh man, I thought that because, like, you know, my mom told me that when I was 6, or like my daddy, I saw my daddy do that when I was 12. Like, you know, my grandma, like, you'll see that these things may not be applicable for you today, or just may not be applicable for you because you are your own person. You understand? So look into why. Who, what, where, when, and why, but most importantly, why? Because if you can't explain it to yourself, you can't explain it to anybody else. Okay? And then third, you have to challenge your thought. Whatever you come up with in your who, what, where, when, and why, and especially your why, you need to challenge that. Because your why, again, it could be a bias, right? You want to make sure that you want to make sure that these aren't just assumptions. Now, there's nothing wrong with assuming, because there's wisdom in assuming, right? I think wise people can assume things. I know people say, like, if you assume that you're making an ass out of you and me, well, those are for people that aren't very wise, because I think wise people can make assumptions and they're typically bang on, right? And I think that you're probably very wise, so you can go ahead and assume some things, okay? And that's how we learn. Don't be afraid of, like, you know what I've learned? over the last little while, what I've learned is that I don't listen to everybody like that, like I used to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I take everything, like I'm wise enough to know that true wisdom comes from learning from around you, learning from people around you. Like, it's not smart to, you know, let's use the simplest one, put your hand on the stove. If you saw somebody put their hand on the stove and it burnt their hand off, it's not smart to then for you to, like, you know, wisdom would say, oh, you didn't even have to put your hand on the stove. You just saw somebody else do it. It ain't work out, right? So then so now you know, okay, that's what I'm talking about when I say, like, you can learn from other people. There's wisdom in that. So anyway, that was just a little tangent about, like, stop listening. Like, everybody has a saying about something, and it's like, is it applicable now? Like, that's what you really need to ask yourself. Is that even applicable today in my life? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so like I said, third step is that you want to challenge your biases. Challenge whatever it is that you're thinking. Whatever you came up with in your who, what, where, and why, challenge it. Whatever thought prevails is the thought that you go with. Okay? Now you've genuinely thought something through. Okay? And that's how you do it. And I'm sharing this with you now because it's been heavy on my spirit for a while. Our Father has been said, like, this is something that is always coming up, I feel like. And I see it a lot in people. I see it a lot here. I see it just out in the world, right? But I also see that there is a group of people that are really waking up to see the deception. I don't know if it's your prayer that you've been praying this, but if you have not been praying this, you need to start praying this. You need to pray and ask God, ask Holy Spirit, ask Jesus to help you to see Satan's tactics in advance, okay? Because like I said in a video previous, our Father was talking to me through Daniel 7, and he was saying to me that we are in a time, because remember, he speaks of a time and a time and a time and a half, I believe it was. And what he was showing me was that we are coming up upon a time. Now, I don't know which one of these times it is, but it's a time, and it's not a good time. Okay, so this is a time that you would definitely need to know how to think something through. So although this subject matter may seem boring to you right now, I promise you it could potentially save your life. Know how to think a thought all the way through, okay? And don't be too proud to ask for help from people, okay? Get opinions. Do you know what I'm saying? And then weigh them against each other until you come up with something that's appropriate for you, okay, in your family, especially if you're a man. You need to, sir, especially you, who has the responsibility of family, you need to know how to take care of your family. So you need to know how to think through everything right now. I saw far too many men during the time there, that other time, you know, a couple of years ago, making decisions for their families that just I was blown away by, because, like, of course that wasn't going to work out. Did you think that thought all the way through? No, you didn't, because maybe you didn't know how to think. Maybe somebody was trying to tell you how to think before and you thought the subject matter was boring. Well, look at you now. Look at you now. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that. I don't think I'm going to go any further on that. Those 3 tips are good enough for you to get going. And then most importantly, take it to the Lord, please, and ask God to help you to discern. I highly suggest, I don't know who this is for, do a fast. Your fast needs to be about wisdom and discernment. You need to be fasting for wisdom and discernment right now, okay? So anyway, I shall see y'all in another video. Love you, mean it.